Hello, I'm Helen Hansen, Kinesiologist, and today we're going to be chatting about the Yin-Yang Equilibrium. Now, our forefathers considered the heavens, the earth, and themselves as part of one system. And in many cultures today, that view is still held, where there is this interconnection between various areas of life: health, relationships, work, lifestyle, food, and the spiritual experience. The Yin-Yang philosophy guides us to live in such a harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us, because its purpose is to bring balance between light and dark, between day and night, between different seasons. We can't just function in daytime. We need night for rest. We can't only have summer all year round. We need time of hibernation and time to replenish. And it's this balance between the different states that Yin-Yang talks to and talks about and teaches us about. Homeostasis is one of the foundational principles of the Yin-Yang theory. Think of how positive and negative forces come together to create a current. We would have no electricity if there was only one polarity, only positive or only negative. And it's like that with everything in life. We wouldn't know joy if we didn't know sadness, and vice versa. There would be no heaven without earth, no earth as we know it without heaven, and so on and so on and so on. Yin and Yang are always in constant movement, with one polarity being stronger than the other. And when there is dominance in one area, there is an imbalance, and hence the other polarity vies for dominance because of this innate knowingness and this drive towards equilibrium. And at their extreme points, Yin turns into Yang and Yang will turn into Yin. Think of when you're in the sun and you go out in the sun, and at first it might feel really nice and comfortable. You're absorbing the heat and your body feels good, and then you start to get hotter and the body's now really heating up, but you don't cool yourself down purposefully. You stay in the heat for whatever reason, and you remain there and you remain there and you remain there. Eventually you get sunstroke. And what happens when we've got sunstroke? Even though we've accumulated so much heat, and when we touch the skin, it feels like we're burning up, we start to shiver. And this is a perfect example of a state of Yang that naturally turns into Yin. So when we are not, and I'm using we as human beings, do not purposefully alter a state, it will get to a point where it will alter itself. And that's the beauty of the Yin-Yang design. A universal design to bring body, to bring situations, to bring environments back into balance when they are in extreme. Still water is Yin. Raging water is Yang. Imagine a very gentle Yin flowing river, and it's meandering along, and all of a sudden it meets up with quite a few rocks, and as it moves against the rocks and moves up, it descends down, and there's this turbulence. We see here Yin turned into Yang. So Yin and Yang, while they are opposing, they're interdependent. Yin is nighttime. It's the moon. It's a time of going inwards. It's the season of winter. The temperature is cold. The shape is the valley. Activity is sleep time. The conditions are natural. The quality is feminine and soft. Whereas yang, well, this is daytime. It's sun, it's summer, it's heat, it's activity, it's creativity, it's mountains, it's man-made items. It's very masculine and hard. You may know yin and yang from this symbol. And this is what yin and yang look like in motion. But freeze framing each polarity, we see that yin is a broken line and yang is a solid line. Now, when we combine 3 yang lines together on top of each other, we get a new symbol of heaven or the sky. This relates to the father archetype. It relates to a thinking mind, the color purple, strong creativity, to name just a few attributes. And this is about power. 3 yin lines symbolize the earth, which represents a receptive nature, deep connection with the mother archetype, color black, the solar plexus. And this complete yin frequency talks to kindness and loyalty. When we have 1 yang line and 2 yin on the top, this relates to thunder, energy that is moving. The archetype is the dragon. The color is orange. The body part is the foot. And this relates to expansion and growth, but it also cautions impulsiveness. Now, these qualities that we talk of are all archetypal and should be looked at symbolically, because symbolically there is a wealth of information just in each symbol. For example, I mentioned the foot. The foot is about standing on the earth. It's about being grounded. The foot also moves us forward or moves us in a specific direction. So when we start to think metaphysically about the connection of these different aspects, these different symbols with one's life, for example, or with a particular situation, then you start to get real meaning and purpose. And the ones which talk to you are the ones which are connected and meaningful for your life right now. If you had to study a particular trigram in relation to your life now, and then come back to it in a few weeks or a few months, you will get a slightly different impression each time that you come back to it, sometimes even from one day to the next. So the next trigram we're looking at is the mountain of 2 yin lines and a yang line at the top. And this is all about being restful. The archetype is the dog. So you can think about what a dog resembles. What do we universally understand the dog to mean? And that universal language, that's the archetype. The color is green. What does green resemble? You think of it universally, and then you also think of it for you right now. And then we have the hand. That's the body type. And this all talks to caution. Our next trigram, 1 yin, 1 yang, 1 yin, is symbolic of water, depth of thought. The archetype is the pig. Red is the archetypal color, and the ears are the archetypal body parts, and this signifies potential danger. So if you think about not listening specifically to one's own inner voice and inner wisdom, that can lead one into a risky situation. Here we see the wind, 1 yin and 2 yang lines, and this is a very gentle quality. The color is white, the animal is the cat, the body part is the thighs, and this evokes flexibility. And of course there's always yin and yang within each yin and yang. So one could be flexible like the wind, or maybe one needs to learn to be flexible, because perhaps at the moment one is struggling with flexibility for whatever reason. This trigram here of 2 yang and 1 yin line depicts a lake. And a lake is about happiness, about joyfulness. Sheep is the animal. And if we think about the contentment that sheep depict, and the blue skies above them, well, blue is the archetype color for this trigram. The body part is the mouth. And success and pleasure are connected emotions and experiences with the lake. 1 yang, 1 yin, 1 yang relates to fire, birds, the color yellow, eyes, beauty, and enlightenment. So as you can see, the symbols within the yin-yang trigrams are archetypal. And these different 8 trigrams that we've just looked at all form part of the Bagua, or the 8 conditions of life, the 8 fundamental universal laws. Think of yin-yang as a language. Now, the use of alphabets is a new form of communication, but this doesn't mean that the thoughts underlying the ancient forms of communication were any less sophisticated or meaningful than behind our alphabetic symbols of today. Interestingly, the duality of the broken yin and the solid yang is actually an expression of the binary code, which is part of computer language. So the binary code is a combination of zeros and ones, and when combined in different ways, they express a multitude of different states. So the I Ching does exactly the same with yin and yang lines, with yin being 0 and yang being 1. The I Ching means book of change, and it's a book composing various trigrams looking at different situations and the changing movement of each, and the message of each, the direction, the guidance of each for one in one's life. And this is not fortune telling at all. It is a system that's based on natural laws, and depending where you are in your life, when you look at a particular trigram, as we discussed not so long ago, you will get a different interpretation. So it's all about your participation in that experience, and participation is key when it comes to understanding the meaning of a particular trigram or a hexagram in the case of the I Ching. Now, mathematician John Barrow says, the I Ching system of binary code is not only a representation of the duality of nature, but also a reminder that everything is connected and in a state of constant change. This idea is echoed in modern computer science, where binary code is the fundamental building block of the digital systems. The I Ching uses 8 primary trigrams and combines each one with one of the other trigrams, resulting in a code of 64 hexagrams. In other words, 64 options of combinations, just like we have 64 combinations of DNA strands in the human body. Within traditional Chinese medicine, the theory of yin and yang is used to explain the physiological changes as well as imbalances that occur in the body. So yin-yang is actually a form of diagnosis in TCM. Literally, yin means the dark side of the mountain, while yang is the bright side of the mountain. In our bodies, yin is the female. It is relating to blood. It is relating to internal organs, the left side of the body, the lower parts of the body, and the front of the body. Whereas yang, it relates to the energy or the fuel of the body. It's surface level, it's the right side, it's the upper part and the back side of the body. Now we also have meridians that are yin or yang based. We see this beautifully depicted in the 5 elements. In the water phase, we have kidney yin, bladder yang. Wood phase, liver yin, gallbladder yang. Fire phase, heart yin, small intestine yang. And then we have 2 extraordinary meridians there as well. The earth phase, spleen yin, stomach yang. And the metal phase, lung yin, large intestine yang. In ill health, yin shows up as a chronic disease, and it is impacted by cold or low temperatures as well as winter time. So if somebody has chronic disease, they will be more impacted by the cold than at other times when they're not in a chronic state. And likewise, the yin components of the body, as well as the yin meridians, will be more impacted, more affected by the cold, the winter time. Yang shows up in the body through acute systems and is affected by heat, dryness, and dehydration. So if you have an acute system, you want to make sure that you keep your body cool and you make sure that you are hydrated. Of course, we need to be hydrated all the time, whether you are in a yin or yang state, but those in a yang condition are really going to feel it more if the yang system is the one that is the reason for the imbalance occurring. So as we can see, the yin-yang balance, harmony, or lack thereof shows us what is happening in our holistic system. And it guides us to also how to treat the various conditions, situations, organs, etc. that are needing support. And it's really important to remember that yin is not fixed and yang is not fixed. There are yin properties within yang and yang within yin. They're transmuting all the time, and they can express in different ways, as we see with emotions. Love, fear, anger, they can all be expressed either very gently and passively in a yin way, or very loudly and expressively in a yang way. Of course, both can be expressed at the same time, and this is where it can become complicated. But remember that human beings are contradictory in nature, and this is actually the beauty of our design. So when engaging with a yin-yang filter, be it to assess your environment, to assess a relationship, to assess what's going on in your physical system, what's happening with your thoughts, you can use it for any and all areas of life. Trust in your knowingness and trust in that intuition, because this design of the yin-yang language binary code is part of the human code. It's part of our human design. It's something that we understand, often not in words, but it is a knowingness. And it's connecting with that knowingness and that knowledge and reawakening that can give so much more depth to one's experiences and richness to one's life. And of course, not only for understanding oneself, but for understanding others as well. And I find that this really helps with implementing compassion and gratitude. For when we can see that beautiful, perfect flow taking place, sometimes we don't need to do anything, because this too shall pass, and that is part of that yin-yang flow. Nothing is constant. The only constant is change, as we hear so often. So when we see this taking place in life, that is us witnessing different polarities working together in these different forms, in these different combinations, to create a specific frequency. And this frequency with that frequency, they can be compatible, but maybe not so these two. And this is where we get friction. And of course, nobody likes friction, but friction helps with growth. And so to start to view it from standing a little bit back and being more aware of what is really happening here. I trust this information has been useful for you, and that you will enjoy using this yin-yang language going forward throughout your life.